It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to this special edition of Science Bowl. The two teams you're about to meet have won our game once already, and today's winner will move on to become the first of this year's 4 middle school semifinalists. Let's meet the teams right now. First, from Robert Goddard Middle School, say hello to Emmanuel Demissa, Kanan Mehta, and Stephen Irving. And from Thomas Pullen Middle School, we say hello to Mark Anthony Thompson, Nadia Holness, and Bryce Hurling Spears. And now here are the categories of questions we use on Science Bowl.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo Parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's Science Potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Here on Science Bowl, our game board reflects the difficulty of the questions, with the easier questions on the left worth 5 and 10 points, the tougher ones worth 15, 20, and ultimately 25, the toughest question of them all. Both of our teams start out at 50 points apiece. No penalties ever for incorrect answers. Then at the 2 rounds, we will have a semi-finalist, the first one in this year's competition. So make sure everything works properly. Nice to have you guys back again. You've done so well so far in our competition. Conan, try your buzzer for us. Thank you. Good luck to you, to Stephen, and to Emmanuel. And Nadia, would you try yours for us? Thank you, Nadia. Good luck to you, to Bryce, and to Mark Anthony. Are we ready to do this?
Yes.
Let's have a great time. May the better team win, and congratulations again for making it this far. R before T. Robert Goddard goes first. Conan, start us out.
Zoo Parade for 5.
Zoo Parade for 5 points. Teams, the actor Harrison Ford recently had one of these arachnids named for him. What do you think, Thomas Pullen?
Spider. Spider is an arachnid.
Nadia, what do you
Spider.
think? Again?
Spider.
A spider, absolutely right. There's a spider now named for Harrison Ford, an arachnid. It's an arachnophobia. Go again, green.
Zoo Parade. Okay. Zoo Parade for 10.
Zoo Parade for 10 points. Teams, look at the monitor in the studio, please, for this question, if you would. We'll show the audience at home. This insect hatches not from a chrysalis, but rather a cocoon. And if you look at its antenna, they're kind of feathery instead of straight. So this is not a butterfly. It is a what, Conan? It is a moth. It's called a Cyclops polyphemus moth because of those single giant eyes on the wings. Beautiful, and they do live here in Maryland. Go again, please. Red.
Green things for 5.
Green things for 5 points. Teams, one of America's newest political parties is named for the leaves of this plant that were dumped in Boston Harbor back in the American Revolution. Thomas Pullen? Yes, ma'am.
Tea leaves. Tea leaves.
Tea leaves, absolutely right. The Tea Party. Everyone's talking about the Tea Party this year. Go green.
Body systems for 5.
Body systems, 5 points. Teams, if you show up at Thomas Pullen or Robert Goddard Middle Schools dressed like Lady Gaga, you are going to stick out like a sore what? Thomas Pullen?
Thumb.
Thumb, that's right. Maybe not. Maybe she's had more of an influence than I think. Try again, please, green. Nice answer.
The 5s. Take the 5s. Huh? Okay, Science Potpourri for 5.
Potpourri for 5 points. Teams, you can thank Benjamin Franklin for that metal pole atop your house the next time your house is struck by what? By what, Thomas Pullen?
Lightning.
Yes, indeed. That's a lightning rod that he invented. Go again. Nadia.
Dateline Science for 5.
Dateline for 5 points. Teams, trying to explain why our problems are not easily solved, President Obama oftentimes that there are none of these bullets made from what precious metal? What kind of bullets are not out there? Nadia.
Silver. Silver?
That's right. He says there are no silver bullets to cure our economic problems or Fill in the blank. Good answer. Thank you, Mark Anthony, for your assist on that. Go, Nadia.
Let's get physical for 5.
Get physical for 5 points. Teams, NASA has appropriately named a spacecraft the Messenger to study this planet that is named for a winged god. Conan, name that planet.
What? Jupiter. 23. Jupiter. Just say it.
Jupiter?
No, not Jupiter. Thomas Pullen. Mercury. Mercury, the winged god. The symbol for the floral delivery service. Mercury was the winged messenger. Try again. Green, I score 75 for Pullen, 60 for Goddard. Nadia, you have the advantage still. Yes, ma'am.
Green things for 10.
Green things for 10 points. Teams, during the last summer's terrible storms when all the electricity went out, Pepco, the electrical supplier, blamed these green things. They're at fault, Thomas Pullen.
Trees.
The trees, that's right. The trees have to be trimmed because all the trees were coming down and pulling down our lines. They have a point. Go green.
Okay. Body systems for 10.
Body systems, 10 points. Multiple choice question. Teams, a gallon of human blood is about which of the following fractions of your total supply? Is a gallon a half of what you have, a fourth of what you have, or 2/3 of what you have? All right, Pullen.
2/3.
2/3, absolutely right, because a gallon, we have about 10 to 12 pints, so you can figure, you can see that it's almost the total right there. Go green.
Science potpourri for 10.
Science potpourri for 10 points. Teams, on television, they are showing that there's a new TV coming called Quatron TV. Now they're going to add yellow color to the former RGB colors. What were the RGBs? Thomas Pullen?
Red, green, blue. Red, green, blue.
That's right. Red, green, and blue. Now we're adding yellow to the mix for an even sharper picture. Green.
Let's get physical for 10.
Let's get physical. 10 points. Out in Hawaii, they have wind farms. They're generating electricity, and the excess energy is being stored in these storage products that we associate with flashlights. Thomas Pullen.
Lighthouse?
No, not lighthouse. The extra energy is being stored, the extra energy being produced from these wind farms in what kind of storage devices that we normally associate with flashlights?
Just say it.
What do you think, Emmanuel?
Batteries?
Batteries, absolutely right. They're storing the excess energy in batteries. Good comeback. Go red.
Green things for 15.
Green things for 15 points. Teams, if you wanted to grow seedless watermelons or seedless grapes, you couldn't plant a seed. What kind of reproduction are you going to have to use? Thomas Pullen.
Spores?
Again?
Spores?
Not spores, nope. What kind of reproduction would you have to use to grow seedless watermelons or seedless grapes, Conan?
Asexual.
Absolutely right. Asexual reproduction. Exactly what I wanted to hear. That buzzer says our first round is over. We've had a good round. Still a close score. Robert Goddard 85, Thomas Pullen 105. We'll be back with this important match in just a moment. And welcome back. Nice to have you with us today. We're early in our silver anniversary season. 25 years ago, we started this game to increase student scientific literacy, and you can see the proof of that right here, that students are doing very well. The cream of the crop with us today in this important matchup headed toward the first semifinalist designation. Let's find out about our teams. Conan, let's start with you. Let's find out a lot about Robert Goddard. Someone tuning in probably didn't see you the first time. Tell us who your principal is.
Madam Nepay.
Yes. And the name of your sponsor?
Mr. Ducha.
Mr. Ducha. And he is out there. He's very proud of you. Now, Robert Goddard is both a Montessori and a French immersion school. Are they separate schools?
Yes.
And this is the?
French immersion.
French immersion. All right. Nice to have you with us. And who's the alternate on your team?
Frederick.
Frederick. And Frederick will be out in just a few moments to join all of us here. Tell me about how you were selected as the captain.
Well, I did it last year,
Yes.
so he picked me because I had the most experience.
Boy, experience counts, and you have a nice, cool head, and boy, I know the last game you played, you earned over 300 points, and I know you're on the way to another good game here today. What do you hope to do someday, Connor?
I just want financial security.
Financial
in my job.
security, that's right. So all of us are looking for that, and I wish you well in that pursuit. Stephen, young man, we find out he plays a musical instrument.
Saxophone?
Saxophone. Do you own your own sax?
No, I do not.
You do not. Now, is there an orchestra or a band at Robert Goddard?
Yes, there's a band and orchestra.
Oh, and you play in those, do you?
I play in the band.
In the band. Very good. And do you take private lessons on the saxophone?
No.
No, okay. And what do you want to do when you get older, Steve?
I want to be a marine biologist.
And how'd you get interested in that?
Well, I swim, and one of my coaches told me a few things about marine biology, and that got me interested. And so it's just from her that I really wanted to be a marine biologist.
It's so important to say that. You never know as an adult what kind of influence you're going to have, so it's always good to suggest things that you think might match the talents of a young person. So I'm glad it's working out. Good luck to you, Steve. Emmanuel, nice to have you here. You are interested in maybe being a scientist yourself, maybe not a marine biologist. Are you thinking about any particular science?
Maybe something to do with the composition of humans.
Composition of humans, yeah. You know, we're mostly water. We're big drips, all of us, you know. But the composition, you know, the plumbing of the human brain, it's still, it's as remote oftentimes as the moon. You know, we still have not figured out how that exactly works and how memory is stored. So there's a rich field out there for you. You're a soccer player, are you a soccer player, Steve, Emmanuel?
And basketball.
And basketball, that's right. Nice to have you back. Thomas Pullen, nice to have you guys with us in your matching white shirts. Nadia, tell us about your school. It's a performing arts school, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So what kinds of things do you do, Nadia?
I play the violin.
You play the violin. Wow. And you have such great confidence. I can see, you know, performers need confidence, and you guys have that by a country mile. Tell us about your school. Who's your principal?
Miss Lucas Adams.
Thank you. And the sponsor of your team is Mr. Manning,
Yes.
who is out there, Mr. Roy Manning. And your alternate is?
Max.
Max. Max will be out in a few moments. And someday we're going to see you doing what?
Dentistry or under the water with caves.
That's right. You have a very interesting combination of interest there. Dentistry and underwater exploration, particularly the caverns, you know, and I think that's a great combination. Bryce, nice to have you back with us. Young man, I know you're interested in sports. What kind of sports do you play?
Soccer and baseball.
Soccer and baseball. And you're interested in engineering and robotics. That's right. How'd you get interested in that?
Well, for the past 4 or 5 years, I'm going to this camp called Cyber Camp, but closed down last year. But I went to one called ID Tech Camp, and pretty much there, I made my first robot. So
Wow.
that's how I got interested in that whole field of science.
I think that's great. What could your robot do, Bryce?
He could follow orders like stop, go. He could hear and see.
I think that's amazing. And you know, camp is such a great place, isn't it? Where you can just focus entirely on what your interest is, whereas at school you have so many other competing things. Keep up your good work. Mark, nice to have you here. Young man, now he went to Las Vegas, not to gamble, but you were in a contest, weren't you?
Yes.
What was that contest?
iPod.
iPod. And you put on a skit of some kind, right? And had you won there, you would have gone on to California, gone Hollywood on us, as it were. But you've got star quality over there right now. Tell us what you want to do someday.
I want to be a science engineer. I want to work with robotics.
Wow. Do you and Bryce know each other off camera here?
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you have similar interests, and you're both fine young men. Nice to have you with us. Let's get back into our game. Thomas Pullen, 105. Robert Goddard, 85. Whoa, all the tough questions are left. Pick one for us, Conan.
Zoo Parade for 25.
Zoo Parade for 25. We're going to go for the top one in that category. Teams, the entomologist Edward Wilson was the scientist who discovered how ants communicate with each other. They don't talk. It's via a chemical, a P-initialed kind of chemical that sounds like hormone. What do we call those P-initialed chemicals that ants use to communicate with each other? Thomas Pullen, can you tell us?
Pheromone.
Pheromone, absolutely right. Good answer there. Pheromones are used everywhere. They're even used in perfumes for human beings. Go. Green. Nice answer.
Zoo Parade for 15.
Zoo Parade, 15 points. Teams, the animal known as a centipede can have as few as 20 legs or as many as 300 legs, other than how many that its name suggests that it has. Conan?
100.
100. Centipede. Good answer. Thank you, Conan. Go.
Zoo Parade for 20.
Zoo Parade, 20 points. Teams, a question in that category. On the Cartoon Network, Phineas and Ferb have a pet platypus. A platypus is a mammal known as a monotreme because, unlike most mammals, it can do what? What can it do? Robert Goddard.
Lay eggs.
It lays eggs. Absolutely right. Thank you, Stephen, for weighing in on that. And with that, 120-130, we have almost a tied game. Red.
Green things for 25.
Green things 25, big one in that category, multiple choice question. Teams, years ago, streetlights were heated by natural gas, powered by natural gas, and they noticed that all the vegetation around was affected because natural gas contains another gas in it that we associate with ripening of fruit. Is it nitrous oxide, is it argon, or is it ethylene that causes fruits to ripen? Thomas Pullen.
Nitrous oxide.
Not nitrous oxide. What other kind of gas was in the natural gas that was affecting the vegetation? It's a gas that we know helps to ripen fruit. Nitrous oxide, argon, or ethylene?
Argon.
The one neither of you chose, ethylene, which is why they keep the bananas away from all the other fruit, because bananas produce ethylene and everything would be ripened too quickly. Go again, red, please.
Green things for 20.
Green things for 20 points. Teams, sometimes the name of a plant doesn't tell you what the plant really is. Like some mosses aren't really mosses. Reindeer moss is actually a lichens, and Spanish moss is actually a vascular plant, and sea moss isn't moss. It's one of these A initial plants. Thomas Pullen?
Algae.
Yeah, it's algae. It's like the stuff you find in your fish tank. Thank you. Good. Go.
Dateline science for 10.
Dateline for 10 points. Teams, amazing that on the top of the Rockies in Colorado, they have found these polyp-created formations that are found under the sea that have been lifted up over the course of millions of years. Nadia? What do you think?
Plankton.
Not plankton, no. What kind of polyp-produced formations that we find on the bottom of the sea have recently been discovered atop Colorado mountains, testifying to the fact that there has been uplift over millions of years?
Coral.
Coral is exactly right. Fossilized coral up there. Imagine that. Testifying to how much our Earth has changed and how old it is. Go red.
What? Oh. Science potpourri for 15.
Science potpourri for 15 points. Teams, your question is as follows. When they were measuring the pressure on the cap on the oil well in the Gulf of Mexico during the BP disaster, they were measuring the pressure in PSIs. What does PSI stand for, Robert Goddard?
Per square inch.
That's it, pounds per square inch. And they found that there were some leaks, but it was holding. 145, 150, very close game. Few questions left. Conan, you choose again.
Science potpourri for 20.
Science potpourri 20. Your question is as follows. At the airport, they now use body scanners to see if you're carrying contraband instead of using these other machines to see if you have something metallic that you're carrying through. Thomas Pullen.
Metal detectors.
Again?
Metal detector.
Metal detectors. And what do they use to detect the metal?
Magnetism.
Say it, I can't hear you.
Magnetism.
Yes, magnetism, absolutely right. The magnetic detectors, that's what we were after. Go.
Body systems for 20.
Body systems, 20 points. Teams, sports writers have used a lot of ink writing articles about what joint that has been bedeviled national pitching star Steven Strasburg lately. Thomas Pullen.
The elbow?
The elbow, absolutely right. His elbow has given him lots of problems. He had to be pulled from the lineup. Go, green.
Let's get physical for 15.
Let's get physical for 15 points. Teams, Joseph Priestley identified oxygen in 1774. But 2 years earlier, Daniel Rutherford discovered what other gas, the most abundant gas in our atmosphere. Thomas Pullen.
Carbon dioxide?
No, ma'am. The most abundant gas in our atmosphere was discovered by Daniel Rutherford in 1772. Can you name it, Conan?
Hydrogen.
Again?
Hydrogen.
Nitrogen. Nitrogen. 4/5 of the atmosphere is nitrogen. Go green.
Body systems for 15.
Body systems, 15 points. Teams, transplanting insulin-producing beta cells into the pancreas was supposed to cure what disease? Thomas Pullen. Diabetes, absolutely right. Good, go. Nadia.
Let's get physical for 20.
Let's get physical, 20 points. Teams, the chemical element with the shortest name, and only has 3 letters, has the chemical symbol SN. Can you tell me the name of that element? Yes, ma'am. Yes? No idea. Robert Goddard, the chemical element with the shortest name, just 3 letters. Its chemical symbol is SN. Do you know what that one might be? Tin. Tin. Go. Green.
Dateline Science for 15.
Dateline 15 points. Team Smokers rejoice. Scientists are now developing a vaccine for this addicting cigarette chemical. Conan.
Nicotine.
Nicotine is right. Good, go.
Science potpourri for 25.
Science potpourri, 25, big one in that category. Teams, the second most common cause of lung cancer after cigarette smoking is this gas that seeps up into people's basements with the chemical symbol RN. What is the name of that gas? Pullen. Yes, ma'am.
Carbon monoxide.
RN. RN is its symbol. Do you know? Robert Goddard.
Radon.
Radon it is. Absolutely right. Good. Red. Choose.
Dateline Science for 20.
Dateline for 20 points. Teams, over the course of the past thousands of years, human beings have become less hairy, which is a good thing because now we can cool ourselves better because we can do what more efficiently? Thomas Pullen?
Sweat.
I can't hear. Open your mouth, please.
Sweat.
Sweat. Yes, that's what I want to hear. Good. Go.
Dateline for 25.
Dateline Science for 25.
Dateline for 25 points. Look at the monitor, please, in the studio for this question. Teams, this famous physicist who has spent most of his life in a wheelchair with ALS recently said that aliens, if they are out there, Conan?
Stephen Hawking.
It is Stephen J. Hawking. He says those aliens are probably nasty, like the ones in the War of the Worlds. 210, 225, 2 questions left. Red shoes. It's coming down.
Body systems for 25.
Body systems, 25 points. Teams, multiple choice question. Teams, because so many high school athletes are dying suddenly on the football field, especially African American athletes, doctors are now suggesting that all high school athletes be tested for which of the following? Tuberculosis, mad cow disease, or sickle cell trait? Thomas Pullen.
Sickle cell.
That's what I want to hear. Yep. Last question of the game. Let's get physical for 25. Here it is. Teams, in 2014, you will no longer be able to buy an incandescent light bulb. You will have to buy what other kind of light bulb that uses 1/4 less energy, Conan?
Fluorescent.
Fluorescent is absolutely right. And with that, our game is over, and it looks like Thomas Pullen is eking out a victory. We'll be back to verify that in just a moment. Don't you go away. Welcome back to Science Bowl. You know, I think if we had more questions, we could have kept going and going and going because they were so evenly matched, these teams, that it was going to be very hard to decide a winner. You were all winners today for playing the kind of game you did. We're so proud of you. Doesn't get any better than this on Science Bowl. Our final tally is Robert Goddard, 235, Thomas Pullen, 250. Congratulations, Mark Anthony and Nadia and Bryce. You played a super game. We're going to see you. You're the first of our semifinalists. Max, congratulations to you. You're not smiling, Max, there. You guys won. Let me see some teeth. And Roy, congratulations. Mr. Manning, a super job. Super job, Mr. Jucha, as always. I asked him earlier, I said, is your team ready? He said, I think so. Boy, were they ready. What a great performance. Emmanuel and Conan and Stephen, you guys know your stuff. And Fred, I know you're happy to be associated as the alternate on that team. Thanks, and come back and play our game again if you can. And I hope to see you next time on another edition of Science Bowl. Bye-bye now.